Everybody in this room has come from somewhere. I don't mean parental backgrounds or cultural backgrounds, I mean an education background. Some of them may be public and some may be private. Depending on where we went, our education level could be very different. I come from a high school that has strictly voiced its goal to follow the No Child Left Behind Act, and that impact on our population was very obvious. The No Child Left Behind Act is the federal government's attempt to close the education gap between different levels of education. Since 2001, the Act has come under fire for having goals that are almost impossible to reach. In 2010, Obama has proposed changes that will dramatically affect the outcome of this Act. In this speech, I will go over the history of the No Child Left Behind Act, the goals that were originally stated in President Bush's administration, and the changes that President Obama is proposing. An article in the New York Times from February 19, 2012 gives a brief history of this act. An education law was first passed during the Johnson administration that was named the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. Then in 2001, during the Bush administration, the law was rebranded and redone and dubbed the No Child Left Behind Act. The focus of the 2001 Act was the use of standardized tests to determine whether schools were improving. The law then was due for renewal in 2007, but went unchanged, The law was then due for renewal in 2007, but fell through, so then it was left unchanged. The goals of the No Child Left Behind Act are stated in the executive summary of the No Child Left Behind Act that was published in January of 2001. The first goal is to increase the accountability that states have over the schools and their students. The second goal was to increase the choices parents had if their students were attending failing schools. The third goal was to provide greater flexibility for states, schools, and school districts to distribute funding that they received for the improvement of their schools, which went into programs that better the school and the community. And finally, the fourth goal was to put reading first. This goal was designed to make sure that by the end of the third grade, students were able to read proficiently. A January 31st, 2012 article in the New York Times stated that President Obama is planning sweeping changes to the No Child Left Behind Act. This article states that the Obama administration is proposing a sweeping overhaul of President Bush's signature education law, the No Child Left Behind Act, and will call for broad changes in how the school is judged to be succeeding or failing, as well as the elimination of the 2014 deadline for bringing every American child to academic proficiency. In response to removing the 2014 deadline, President Obama states in a February 9, 2012 article in the New York Times that, I quote, "We've got to do it in a way that doesn't force teachers to teach the test, or encourage schools to lower their standards to avoid being labeled as failures. So when it comes time to fixing what's wrong with the No Child Left Behind Act, we've got to offer every state the same deal. If you're willing to set higher, more honest standards than the ones that were set in the No Child Left Behind Act, they were going to give you the flexibility to meet those standards." The same February 9th article states that President Obama has recently given 10 states a waiver from this old education law. Under this waiver program, states will have to set new performance targets and improving students' achievements to close the achievement gaps. The January 31st New York Times article also states that with these changes, however significant they are, the administration is not planning to abandon the law's commitments to closing the achievement gap between minority and white students and to encourage teacher quality. You have learned a little bit about the No Child Left Behind Act now. It is now time for us to decide whether this act is a good or bad impact on an already subpar public education system. It is our children's futures that are in our hands now. How will you decide?